Hi everyone, this is Mona. We're going to go ahead and get started. Today we're doing session 3 of our Workbench series, Report Builder. And I am recording today's webinar for your convenience. Later on, either today or tomorrow, I will send out both the PowerPoint and the video link. So I'd like for you to test out the chat feature if you can. So if you can hear me and you can see the presentation, please type the following information: your location, your city and state, the businesses you support. So for example, Antioch, Illinois, Kmart Toys Action Figures. When you use the chat feature, if you could be sure to send it to all participants and not just the presenter, that ensures that I'll actually see it, because I don't see it on the computer that I'm presenting on. So if you send it to the presenter, I actually will not see any questions that you submit through the chat. So I had asked a few times for people to put their phones on mute, but there was a lot of background noise, so I just had to go ahead and mute all participants. At the end of the presentation, we will open that back up, so if you have any questions you want to audibly ask at the end of the presentation, you could do that at that time. There was just way too much background noise going on, and I don't think the person knew how to put their phone on mute because I asked several times. So I do apologize about that. So please feel free to submit questions at any time using the chat feature. So I did ask a few people ask for you to test out the chat. So it looks like we have Logan from, not Logan from Utah, but someone from Logan, Utah. There we go. Sears and Kmart Fitness Equipment. We have San Antonio, Texas, Kmart Bike Accessories, and Bolivar, Missouri. And again, whenever you submit chat questions, if you could be sure to submit them to all participants. Otherwise, I will not see the questions if you just submit it to the presenter. All right, I'm going to pass this off to Stephanie.
Hi everybody, I'm Stephanie Nostwick. I'm a VU trainer. Formerly though, I was an inventory and then a senior inventory analyst for 3 years, and I supported Kmart businesses. I was in Kmart Apparel and also Kmart Apparel Infant Hardlines, so I got to see a little bit of both sides. I used SHC Merchant Workbench reporting to illustrate sales performance, manage inventory levels, track orders, and assist with special store projects. So I was in Workbench all the time. So for today, we're going to learn about navigating in Report Builder, and we're going to run a sales report and an inventory report. Before we get going, before we jump into Workbench, let's talk a little bit about the data availability. So when you're pulling receipt information, if you are pulling by KSN, which is Kmart stock number, it goes back 2 years. If you're pulling by purchase orders, it goes back 18 months. Sales goes back 2 years. Sometimes you can get a little bit more. Inventory, if you're pulling by fiscal week, you can get inventory information back for 2 years. If you're trying to pull inventory by day, it goes back 35 days. For order tracking, it's 15 months, and accounts payable information is a rolling 12 months. Please do note, though, that it can take up to 2 days for data changes to reflect in Workbench. And here's a special note for any Sears JIT vendors. Sales and inventory are not available on Workbench. You would want to request SVP access for Workbench and not that full access. Don't want to charge yourself too much if you don't have to. And then sales and inventory is available via the Sears Sales Alex reports. And you can get yourself set up by emailing vendors at searshc.com for access to that. So a little bit more about this full access. So full access, also called a power user, requires a software license. There is a fee per person. The license is $550, and the annual maintenance fee is $100. Now, those licenses are transferable, so maybe if you move desks in your organization, the person who takes over that account, you can transfer that license. That's not an issue. With this, you get all standard business process reports. So those are including inventory, DC and store, sales, order tracking, and price visibility. You get all the decision support reports, which is kind of where we're going to be taking a look at today, which includes sales, inventory, performance, order tracking, but you'll see that the platform is a little bit more flexible. And you'll get the vendor corporate save reports, which include top 20 items, past due POs, inventory on hand but with no sales, and open purchase orders for ads or non-ads. So Report Builder. When we log in, we're going to go to Report Builder and Decision Support. So that's what the piece of this reporting platform we're talking about today. This is a powerful reporting tool that lets you select custom time ranges. You will be able to select merchandise and geography, and it kind of lets you customize your metrics a little bit more. There are 30 reports in 4 categories. There's 11 sales reports, 7 inventory, 2 performance, and 10 order tracking. And then you've got, again, those vendor corporate saved reports with your top 20 items, your past due POs, inventory no sales, and open POs. So, and I will demonstrate this momentarily. We're going to go to Report Builder. It is Decision Support Report Builder from the SHC Merchant Workbench portal. We're going to actually log in and navigate from the vendor portal so you guys can see how to get there. So I'm going to log in. All right, so I'm going to scroll down, and you can see right under Kmart and Sears applications, SHC Merchant Workbench. That's where we're going to navigate to. So go ahead and click on that if you're following along. And we'll see if it opens.
Sorry about that. Just give us a couple more minutes. Oh, it looks like it's finally loading. I don't know why it's being slow.
Yeah, normally this takes a lot less time for it to load. Hopefully you guys aren't experiencing any of those of that time constraint that we just saw. So you'll see we've got all this standard business process reporting up here on the left-hand side. We're going to look at this decision support, and then we're going to go ahead and click on Report Builder. So here's again, one more time, you should be clicking on Decision Support, Report Builder, and then you'll be able to see Report Builder come up. We're going to go to Vendor Visibility Report Builder. For us, it looks like this, and your guys' screen should look very similar. I'm going to navigate to Report Builder because that just is the type of access that I have. So you might see something that looks like this when you log in. You probably, if you've never used Report Builder before, you won't have any history list subscriptions, but you'll see the shared reports. You might not have anything under My Reports, but you'll at least have this section. So get familiar with the way that this looks. If you don't like the way this looks, you can always click Grid Display and you can change it. It'll look a little bit differently. So the top Report Builder reports include the sales information. A lot of people run sales and inventory analysis because it's nice to be able to see both your inventory and sales without having to run 2 different reports. Maybe you're just worried about your sales, so you have that option. You can do a comparison this year versus last year in dollars, units, and inventory. That's under the sales metric, and we'll get there in a second. PO exception reporting. Now this is very helpful for order tracking. So if you are tracking your orders and making sure that they are getting receipted at the times that they are supposed to be, this report would be for you. Store inventory. Maybe you've got a special store set. This is where I would go to make sure that everything was landing for our special store walkthroughs. DC inventory, making sure that all of my goods are actually appearing at the distribution centers. Corporate PO distributions. This is another way for tracking orders. A horizontal sales time. 4 metric in stock. This is really helpful to see your presentation in stock levels. If you're in basic businesses, this is where you'd want to check out. And then a merchandise analysis. So today we're going to take a look at sales and inventory. So let's run the inventory report first. So I'm going to go to Report Builder, Sales. So you'll see some of the reports that I was talking about before appear under Sales. We're going to run a sales analysis. You could also, they look very, very similar. You could run the sales and inventory analysis. So we're going to click on Sales Analysis. And usually there's no clocking. Usually this is very quick. So as you can see here, you've got a couple of, you've got an index here. These are where you're going to put in information so that you can get your report to run. These are report prompts here. There are a few that are required. You'll see time, merchandise hierarchy, and merchandise detail hierarchy are all required fields for this sales analysis report that we're going to run. If you do not put anything in here, you will not be able to click Run Report. It will not let you. So you're going to want to select a time frame. I like taking the custom time period fiscal, and you'll see it, if you click on the plus sign, it'll expand out. I'm going to continue to click until I see these options here. I really liked running last 13 closed fiscal weeks. I felt like that gave me a good idea of what trend was going on. But you could, it depends on what you're doing for your business. You could pick any of these time constraints here. So to bring it over, I had it selected, and I used this little arrow button. You'll see in prompt number 2, the time detail, this is not required. So if I wanted to see each week broken out, I would select this fiscal week here and bring it across so that I would see 1 week represented for each of my 13. If I want to see the data aggregate at an aggregate level, I will not bring anything across. I'm just going to leave that blank. Merchandise hierarchy is required. So this is where you're going to tell Report Builder what areas you care about for this report. So feel free to select your areas if you know how to get in through different hierarchy options. All of this item, biz corp, biz div, these are just different ways of getting to your hierarchy. I was very familiar with the biz div, so that's where I'm going to go. So I'm going to the biz division, and then I'm going to take a look at, why not? Let's look at toys and hobbies. If I wanted to bring the whole division across, I could do so by clicking that add, but I'm going to keep scrolling into toys and hobbies. I'm going to look at the business departments, and then I'm going to take a look at, let's look at maybe girls' toys, and I'll bring that across. So once you've made your selection for your hierarchy, you can scroll to prompt number 4, which is the detail. So this corporate detail is the least detailed level. If you wanted to see your sales information, and I never would pull this at corporate. I couldn't find a use for this as an analyst, but maybe you and your businesses can. I'm going to get rid of that by bringing corporate back over here using the arrow. Then I'm going to take a look at the division is what I'd like to see, the category. I'm going to go down to the subcategory, and this is Kmart hierarchy, SHC hierarchy. And then I'd like to also see, I think I'll keep it at subcategory level. If I wanted to, I could pull across my items and my KSNs as well. So I'm just going to look at a subcategory level report for the sales here. So then I'm going to scroll down to the metric selection. Now this isn't required, but you'll see that it's starred because something is filled out. So this means this is what's going to come across in your report. You're going to get the list cost, the sell price, all of these things that are in this right-hand box are going to come across. Now if you want something else that you're not seeing here, you would just be able to say, maybe I want my mark-on percent. I can grab that and bring it over and add it to this list. So you have a couple of different options. You can restrict things by attributes, merchandise restrictions. I'm going to leave this alone. Maybe you're in a planogram business and you want the can carry model of 76500. You could bring that across, click that ID, and then you could enter your value there, or you could import it with a CSV file. And Mona, I believe there are instructions on how to format a CSV file on the vendor portal. So that you can check that out if you are new to formatting CSV. But I'm not going to bring that across. You could also do the same, very similar prompts. If you've got your list of items, maybe you know you've got a big list of item IDs, you could do that or import a file. Same thing with KSNs or reporting IDs. All very similar prompts. Further down this list, maybe you've got geography options that you're looking at. Maybe you're looking at a specific climate zone or region, or even just one store in particular that you know the store number of. You would be able to bring those across using these prompts. Maybe I like store, I don't know, let's see, 9348. Is that Bloomingdale or is that Norridge? Norridge Kmart. Maybe I know that one. That's the one I want to look at. You have that option there as well. If you want to see the detail level, so if I was pulling across one store, that wouldn't really matter. But if I was pulling across maybe 5 different stores, I would want to see it broken out by store. So I would make sure that I would go to the geography detail prompt, click store, and bring that over. If I wanted to see all 5 stores all together, then I would not bother and I would leave that alone. So we've got all of our required metrics here. You can, again, here's another metric restriction on sales. So maybe you want to look at things that have only sold a certain dollar amount. You don't want to see anything lower. You can do that here as well. But now that we've got these required prompts filled out, we're going to go ahead and click that Run Report button. You'll see something that looks like this, and you can click Go to My History List, and you'll see the status of this report is running. Once it's completed, it will show ready. So I will click into that so you can see what it looks like in the web page, but I don't want to reveal any confidential information on other vendors to you guys. So we do have something here. We've got a report that we pulled. Here's the sales report. A report that we pulled by item. You can see all of the information that comes across in your sales report. So you've got your item IDs. The one that we're going to take a look at in a minute will show subcategory. You've got your sell prices. You've got your total regular sales. You've got event sales. And it goes on further. Let's see if this report is ready so we can take a look at everything. Oh, here we go. So to get to that report, I'm just going to click on Sales Analysis, and you can see here, I don't think I pulled back the vendor info, so I think we're okay. You can see here all this great data. You've got your gross margin, you've got clearance information, all that sales data that everybody wants to jump in and see first thing in the morning, right? So that's how you would run your sales analysis. We're going to also take a look at running an inventory report, very similar prompts. We're going to go back to Home, Report Builder. Instead of clicking on Sales, we're going to go to Inventory. And you'll see you're able to run a DC and a store. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the store inventory. Again, you'll see here we've got some required prompts, but there's fewer that are required to run this store inventory report. We need to make sure we get our merchandise hierarchy and our details selected. So depending on where you're at, you can navigate to your businesses. I'm going to pull, what am I going to pull? I'll look at my old area, which is Kids World. I'm going to select that and bring it across. Now you'll see we've got the whole business division selected here. If I wanted to maybe go into my specific areas, again, I could click on that plus sign, explode it out, and I can look at by department, category, group, or category. Maybe I just want to see something I know that they'll have, socks. Maybe I just want to take a look at boys' socks. So I have that ability to bring that across. And here's that detail hierarchy. So I mean, if you feel like experimenting, go ahead and try and run that corporate, see if it gets you any information that is valuable to you. I pull it by my division, category. For this one, we'll take the subcategory and we'll pull back by item. So I'm going to get all of this information, this hierarchy information back. Again, you've got attribute restrictions, so if you don't want to see something, if you want to limit the data that's coming back further, you can do that. I would tend to leave this blank. Same thing with maybe I only want to see those can carries, or want to see inventory that is, I don't know, let's see, JIT only. I could do that here. Same thing with those item IDs, KSN IDs, and reporting IDs from file. If you have a CSV or if you've got a list, you can go ahead and enter those there. So we'll scroll down to prompt 10, which is the metric selection. This is the inventory information that is going to come across for us on this report. Now again, same thing. If I wanted to see, maybe I want to see, I don't know, total store inventory cost, I can go ahead and bring that across and add that to that list. I can also, modify this list if I want to take things away. And here's our geography prompts again. So if I wanted to pull the store inventory for one specific store, maybe I'm looking at a specific format, maybe I'm looking at only Super Kmarts or something like that, I would have that ability to do that here. And if I wanted to see it pulled out, maybe I want to see all the climate zones, or maybe I want to see each store reported, I would make sure that I made a geography detail selection. So now that we've got these required prompts filled out, we can go ahead and click on Run Report. So I'm going to go to my history list and wait for this guy. Oh, wow, see how fast that is? That's what I'm used to here. So if we click on the store inventory report, you'll see this is what it looks like here. A handy little tool, we're in the data. I really don't like those totals being reported. It kind of messes me up when I want to go and export this to Excel. I would just click on this little sum sign and it goes away. To export to Excel, I clicked on this home. See this little spreadsheet? It looks like export. You can click on that and it will give you this prompt here. Usually I would select plain text. It makes it a little bit easier to manipulate the data, and click export. And we've actually got, so here's the report we just ran. I'm not going to show you that because it's got those guys on there. So we've actually got a store inventory report here. We've pulled it by item and KSN in this one. This is for infant hardlines. You can now modify your data the way you want. I would usually wrap the text here. You can see all the current store on order, the sellable inventory, and any non-sellable inventory units, which that could be displays. Maybe it's damaged and it's being claimed out at that time, but you would still have visibility to that. And this is what we're seeing. You've got all of your dollars and you've got your units. And I'm going to let you guys have time for questions. I'm just going to go through this contact information really quickly. Maybe you were having issues. Maybe you know that you have access and you weren't able to get there. This is where we're going to want to go. So for setup issues, vendor support, which is vendors@searshc.com. If you've got, maybe you're running reports, and don't ask me to run your reports because I'm not going to do that for you. But maybe you're running reports and you're like, I don't understand what this metric is telling me, or I really like to see it at this level of data. Can I do that? Go ahead and shoot me an email. I'm stephanie.nostwick@searshc.com. For either of these contact concerns, in the body of your email, please do include your vendor pay DUNS number if this applies to you, especially for setup issues, your description of the issue, the report name that you might be having issues with, any criteria selections that you've made in the report, and really this last one, any screen prints are really, really helpful. So if you attach a screen print, I can just go in and see what you're seeing without having to play around in the report too much. There's also a very useful tool called Help. So from the original screen when we went to log in, instead of clicking on Decision Support and Report Builder, you can click on Help and Help again. And this will open a separate online help window where you can find step-by-step instructions. There are plenty of sample reports, and a lot of these sample reports are hotkeyed, so if you click into them, they will give you additional information. They'll give you definitions, and they'll even give you how they solved for some of the metrics. And it gives you tons of helpful hints for using Merchant Workbench. You'll also be able to see any what's new, so maybe there's some type of planned outage or some type of upgrade coming. You would be able to see that there as well.
Does anybody have any questions? Again, please feel free to use the chat feature, and I'm going to make sure that the mics are open as well. Oh, look, looks like we got a few from people who were sending it directly to the presenter. Like I said, if you send it directly to the presenter, we actually don't see it until just now.
Yes. So remember when I was saying about the inventory selection?
So you might want to restate the question.
Yes, I will restate because not everybody can see this. So we've got a question. Is there a prompt that can show us how many stores have 0 inventory? So you could do it a couple of different ways. You could go to that last section where it says inventory metrics. Let's see if I can pull it up. I can't remember the name of the section. And you could pull it by, here we go.
The data reprompt.
Yep, reprompt. Oh, it's 2 ways. And there are 2 ways to do everything in Report Builder. So if you like your icons, you can do it that way. You could also click on that, that navigation tool. So metric restriction, that's what I was looking for. Metric restriction on store inventory. So what were we looking for is 0 on hands. So let's go and see current store. We'll scroll down. Current store sellable inventory units. I'm going to bring that across. Instead of in, I want less than 1. So this is only going to bring me inventory information about what I had selected in this merchandise hierarchy, boys socks, item IDs for sellable inventory units less than 1. Now this might not be very helpful to you unless you select in the geography detail store, because otherwise you're really not going to know. It's just going to show you items that you have outs on. You're not going to know which stores that are out. But yeah, that would be how you would be able to filter that. Another thing that's really nice, which I think is a little bit easier, and that way I can also see at the same time both on-hand information and stuff that's not there, is just kind of doing a sort and filter on the full inventory snapshot, and then just going and saying, okay, well, who's at 0? I didn't pull the stores across in this example, but this way you can see at least, okay, what KSNs and what items am I at 0 at? Maybe I should be, maybe I shouldn't be, but here's where we're at with, and this one I didn't filter out the totals. But you can see that here. So it depends on what you want to do. You can either use that metric restriction, or you can just filter. Good question, though.
So Kelly has a question. Is there a way to pull Market Basket with vendor access?
Oh, I have no idea. That is a good question for your merchant. So Market Basket, I can't remember.
I actually don't know what Market Basket is.
Yeah, Kelly, can you tell me again what Market Basket is? I feel like that's like what each customer has in their bag.
All participants are now in interactive talk mode.
So you should be able to talk now, Kelly.
Oh, thank you. It is what customers buy with your own products.
Okay. So you can get to that data. I'm not sure how to get to it in Workbench. I'm not sure if Workbench is the right option, but I would definitely reach out to my merchant partner, and if they don't know, we do have that data available here. It just requires, so either reach out to your merchant partner, or if you have an inventory analyst that you work with, they should be able to find where you can get that data from. Now, maybe you click into the online help and look up your merchant basket or your basket, and maybe it gives you an answer. Sorry, I don't have a better one for you on that one.
No, thank you.
Is there a way that we could find out how many stores have a particular SKU? So if we're looking at KSNs, and is there a column that can say 938 stores? 938.
You want to run a flash, but you would want to run it by item or KSN. SKU level data, you can get sales information on like the SKU, so you're looking at like retail G10. You can get sales level information, but you cannot get inventory information at that granular level. You would want to run a flash report, which is another webinar that we do.
Yeah, I think that's actually at the end of the month we have one on Flash Report.
Yeah, and it'll give you a store count, and then when you click on that store count in the Flash Report, it'll actually give you a store list. Now, a long time, like Hot Wheels, for example, has been in the stores a really long time. That store list might be overinflated, so it might be showing you all the stores it was ever in. But if you've got a relatively new product, or if you are just trying to make sure you know the store counts, that's how you would get to that data very quickly.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There's 2 questions.
Okay, so I'm a rep, and my vendor wants to see sales with their SKU number, not necessarily the KSN. Where do I find that? Well, that vendor is going to have to talk to probably their merchant partner, because we just can't give you. You can do sales by retail GTIN, but this is SHC's reporting function, so I'm not sure what their SKU number would be. We just don't have the data. So not necessarily sure. They might just need to do a VLOOKUP and match their SKU number to the KSN. Now, if you're talking Sears like div item SKU, that's that Alex reporting that we talked about that you should be able to get at that information.
Okay.
Okay. And which selection would tell me how many stores an item is? Oh, so that was a similar question. So
Yep.
yes, that we would look at that in the flash report.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had one other question.
Okay.
In the metrics, where do you go about setting up if you're looking from a specific day to a specific day versus fiscal year or fiscal week or prior 13 weeks?
So store inventory is going to let me do that. So let's go. Yes, you can do that, and I will show you how. Let's go back.
Thank you.
Go here. Can you still see me? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's reprompt this guy. Question was how instead of pulling last 13, I want to pull like a date to a date. So let's see. I remember how to do this. Yes, there is a way, and you can enter it. I just have to remember which selection to make here. If I can remember it, that would be great. Week. So any of the lock stuff, you're going to be able to do that. So if you said you had a date, or was it a week? I'm sorry. I couldn't.
Well, specifically a date.
Okay. Between, should be. So I've selected day, brought that over. I selected, so I'll show you again because that was kind of fast. So day, says day form in value. So this is not going to help me. I want the ID, and instead of in, I want between. So you can make any of these selections, or you can do equals. So between, and then I would go ahead and select a date. Something that's already happened obviously needs to be selected, otherwise you'll error out your report. And I don't know, I'm just making up dates here. 2-4. So that's how you would select those dates.
Okay, and then as it relates to the inventory, even though that's running from this date to that date, the inventory level that's going to, or the inventory units and dollars that are going to show up, is that the inventory as of the last date that you've requested? It's not like a accumulation of inventory between those dates, is it?
Sales and inventory, it should be the current sellable. That's a really, I would go to this help for, let's see, because you should be able to pull it back day by day. I just can't remember which report it's in. But it will be the last, like it'll be, in most reports, it will be the last, the last week's inventory, or the, let's see here. So it looks like the sales and inventory download actually will give you that. So we were in the right place. So instead of running just that inventory report, you would want to do that sales and inventory report we were just looking at. Mm-hmm. Be able to get this historical level. And if it'll be daily, 30 to 35 days. So if you're pulling a time period greater than that, it'll either error out or it'll show you the last current. So if it's under 30 days, you should be able to get that in that report in the sales and inventory.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And yeah, see, this is the help. So if I don't know a lot of times, or if I was like when I was first learning how to use Workbench, I was here almost all the time.
Okay, we'll stay on the line for just a few more minutes, and if you do have any other questions, you can feel free to ask. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I do hope you all have a great day. I'll be sending out the PowerPoint either later today or tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.